Hello, everyone. This is Katrin with Disability Rights New York. Welcome to our podcast, Empire State of Rights Closed Captioned. We are here to bring you information on the most relevant topics regarding disability rights and advocacy. Today, we have Helen Charland, Pat and PAVA advocate at DRNY, here to discuss voting accessibility. Welcome, Helen. What makes a polling site inaccessible to voters with disabilities?
Hi, Katrin. Thank you for having me. That is a great question. So the voting barriers can be broken down into a few categories. One of the first ones that people think of is physical accessibility of a polling site. And that can be from the parking lot to having a accessible parking space that doesn't have access aisles, as well as voting area setup. That is one of the most common complaints that we get and also that we see when we survey polling sites for accessibility. And it can be the equipment not being arranged in an accessible way, and also the ballot marking device, also known as BMDs, which is New York State's accessible voting machine. If they are not arranged in a way that allows a voter to have a private vote, then the voting area is not accessible, and that is a huge barrier for individuals and voters with disabilities. Another facet that makes a polling place inaccessible is poll workers, and that's one that voters don't typically think of, but poll workers can be a deterrent to voters with disabilities because they may discourage them from using the ballot marking device and instead offer to have two poll workers assist them with marking their ballot when that is not guaranteeing a voter's right to a independent or private vote.
Now, is there training that's done for poll site workers?
There is training that's done. It varies by county, and the quality of the training and whether or not it focuses on disability etiquette varies widely across the state.
Okay, and who provides that training within each county?
The County Board of Elections office provides it to their own poll workers.
So if someone is going to vote and they see an inaccessible poll site, what should they do at that point?
They can write to their local Board of Elections office and also the State Board of Elections office detailing the inaccessibility that they experienced. It's really important to write a letter and to keep a copy for yourself so there is a paper trail of this complaint. Another thing that I would suggest is you can contact DRNY for reinforcement. We do a lot of follow-up with county boards of elections. Sometimes they get the letter and they choose not to respond, or it gets lost. It gets lost in the rough. So if you ever need backup, you can contact DRNY at voting@drny.org, and we may be able to assist.
That's great. So if someone does submit a complaint and they don't hear, what's a good timeline to say, well, if you haven't heard in 3 or 4 weeks, is that reasonable?
Yeah, a month is reasonable. I would say that they should be responding within 2 weeks, but to give the County Board of Elections the benefit of the doubt, a month is a fair amount of time to give them.
And so if they're not getting a response, calling DRNY or emailing DRNY is a good avenue for them to pursue for assistance.
Yes, because then we can reach out to the County Board of Elections and also the State Board and say, hey, this individual wrote you a letter. We have a copy of it right here. We haven't received a response. Or if you do receive a response and you're not satisfied with it, you can also contact us and we can see what we can do to assist.
That's really great information. Now, how can others help to ensure that voting is accessible?
One of the first and most important things is to be aware of accessibility standards at the polling place. If you can't recognize if a polling place is inaccessible, then you're not going to be able to advocate for it to be accessible. So the first step would be educating yourself on those standards. Another is to volunteer to survey poll sites with DRNY. So the PAVA team goes out on election day We typically choose a county to survey their sites to make sure that they are up to those accessibility standards that I had just mentioned. And we are always looking for volunteers to survey sites across the state. Even if you only survey your own polling site, any little bit helps.
That's great. And so we have primaries coming up in September. Is there any other information you want to get out there before that date arrives?
If people are so inclined, it would be wonderful for them to try using the ballot marking device that I had mentioned earlier. A lot of times, poll workers deter voters from using the BMD because they are not familiar with the equipment themselves, and their excuse or response is always, no one ever uses the machines, so let me just help you out this way. So the more people who use the BMD, the more familiar poll workers will get with it.
Okay, that's great. Well, I think it's good to encourage people to be able to use the BMD. It not only helps the public get familiar with the machine, but it also is helping the poll workers, which is what you're saying, which is awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Helen. This is such great information, and we look forward to speaking with you again. Empire State of Rights Closed Caption has been brought to you by Disability Rights New York, your source for disability rights and advocacy. If you've enjoyed our program, and we hope you did, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this post. Tune in next time, where we'll bring you more information on disability rights in the state of New York. The closed captioned version of this podcast is available on our YouTube channel.